Dana, now I understand that I'm talking to the right person when I ask this question because you have more weapons than Fort Bragg. But is this an election about the Second Amendment at all? I understand gun sales have been way up, and I think those Antifa, Black Lives Matter scumbag protests probably ramped that up quite a bit. But I don't know about you. Down in my part of Texas, I haven't seen a single ad from congressional Republicans, Senate Republicans, or Democrats, or the president about guns. I've not seen guns mentioned one time. Is that issue dead right now?
I think that the fight, at least for maybe the next 5 years, has been ultimately put to bed, but that doesn't mean that people should be apathetic about it at all. It really did start out that way, didn't it? I mean, I think the election cycle, which really began last year, it really did focus a lot on firearms and the Second Amendment. And Joe Biden saying that Beto O'Rourke would be his gun czar, a guy who said, hell yes, I'm going to take your AR-15s. And we're all like, with what, magic? That didn't really help endear himself to a lot of voters, especially here. You have like, what, a month later, he was talking about defunding the police by way of taking money from the police that we give and as a result of our property tax, giving money to police and taking it from them and giving it somewhere else, which is still defunding the police. When you talk about that as your neighborhood security and keeping businesses safe and people see rioting on their televisions, yeah, the whole I'm going to go and take your AR-15s and we're going to crack down on quote unquote assault weapons, that doesn't really go over so well with voters when they're seeing the unrest in the street. And to that point, Jesse, you've had so far over half of this year, and I was looking at some of the numbers that were coming out on this, in 2020, we've already set a record in terms of the background checks. And you can have multiple firearm purchases per background check, but we've already beat the record, and we're only like halfway through. We were only halfway through the year when we hit that number. And out of that, the percentage of individuals that are being estimated as new gun owners, it's about 5 million brand new gun owners that have been purchasing firearms and watching all of this unrest and everything else unfold on television. And also, gun owners are gun voters. They vote. People who go and purchase firearms go and vote. People who go and get their concealed carry licenses, they go and vote. And when you have a guy who's simultaneously telling everyone that we're going to defund the police and also say that he's going to ban the most commonly owned semi-automatic rifle, yeah, that really hurts him. It really hurts him in states where they're desperately looking to gain ground, states like Texas and states like Missouri and elsewhere.
All right. Well, by the way, I should note that we just got word Florida is officially called for Trump. So there you go. Everything Dana and I were just talking about came to fruition. Dana, not to nerd out on the details, but I did see Joe Biden put out a tweet today on the gun thing about gun manufacturers, I'm coming for you. And beyond the ominous threat portion of that, what does that mean? What can the president do, or does he need a Congress too? And what can they do? What can they do to these people?
Yeah, that's a really good question. What can he do? When he's talking about going after manufacturers, I mean, we're getting ready to come out, we're trying to come out of a pandemic lockdown and fully achieve and realize an economic recovery. When you have an individual who's running for president talking about going after American businesses that are employing people and creating perfectly legal products, that's incredibly concerning, especially when he would probably have to abuse his authority in order to get certain things to happen. I know that Democrats have been for so long trying to go after gun manufacturers by saying that you should be able to sue them if their products are used in commission of a crime. And that's not actually how that whole situation works. You can sue a manufacturer if a firearm is faulty and there's a defect and it is inoperable or it operates in a manner that causes injury to someone, apart from how it was advertised and intended to be used. But other than that, in order to go after businesses because their products are used unknowingly by them in commission of crimes, well, then you're opening a Pandora's box to go after every single business owner in the United States. I mean, we could talk about stabbings. We could talk about vehicular manslaughter. We could have a discussion about strangulation. I mean, that's ultimately when you get on that slippery slope, it ceases to become a slippery slope and it turns into reality.